Okay, let me see if I can do this live stream. Let me first test to see if you guys can hear my voice and if everything is all good. Um, Try to talk before Survivor comes on. Let me make sure the sound is in before going further. Okay, it's all good. Shout out to my sister Latanya. Thank you so much. She's always so very considerate of me. I really do appreciate this. Let me use up these few minutes. I'm telling you, it's like now, even though I'm supposed to kept this channel hidden, I'm trying to preserve this channel for reasons I explained to you guys about last time, the way that I feel. Yeah, I honestly, really, and even doing this live stream right now, I feel like I'm sneaking around. I feel like I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. Like I'm trying to not get caught. That's how I'm feeling right now with YouTube. And I was supposed to keep this channel hidden, and trying to preserve this channel. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'll just talk about the Bible. That's what I'm trying to stick to. But of course, I'm tempted to, talk on, these uh some of these current events. But yeah, I really feel like I'm sneaking around or something. That's how I feel now. Like, especially with the last reason that they gave for taking down my fourth channel. So I feel like I'm like sneaking in or like I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing right now. But anyways, I wanted to speak on this, and let me try to see if I can speak on this. Oh, I got a slight headache before Survivor comes on 7 p.m. Central Time. All right. For me, that is. Yeah, I just was just watching something. Hey, Seneca One, I hope you can hit me loud enough, clear enough if you can. I'd appreciate you pressing one in the chat room. I'd really appreciate that. Now, you got this guy here. Okay, what's this about? George Floyd joke at brutal Kevin Hart roast sparks controversy. Now, I was just listening to this video uploaded by Jamie, that's me. I guess there was just a Kevin Hart roast recently, and it's got me kind of wanting to speak on it. How you doing? Warriors are the best. Venezuela. So, I want to speak on this. Now, I know also I did on my other channel. Please sub to my other channel because really I feel like I'm kind of afraid having this channel open. I feel like I need to still just try to see if I can preserve this channel. But I'm telling you, this is it. This is it. I would not be creating any more channels. Yeah, in YouTube because they 4 channels of mine that they've came at. And yeah. So I feel like I'm sneaking in here, like, like I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna, get caught or something. Yeah. But anyways, but let me try to speak on this. George Floyd. Now, I'm reading this from the Star Tribune, Minnesota's Star Tribune. George Floyd joke at brutal Kevin Hart roast sparks controversy. Now, y'all know I don't really watch that much television. I don't really know as much that's going on in the media. There have been a few things that I checked out of curiosity, but being that this video that I saw popped up on it, and I listened to what was said, that's got people talking, I'm like, well, okay. So politically incorrect comedy, like the comedy that we would hear in the 70s, where you can, like you still had comedians like Don Rickles and Richard Pryor and Paul Mooney and George Carlin and, comedians just, whether they wanted to joke on race, racism, and, what jokes that could be seen as misogynist, racist, or whatever white folks want to see as reverse racism today. Yeah, when you had that type of comedy, because I have been feeling like comedy has been getting rather tamed and censored, and people not really saying what they feel. But okay, I listened to something. I said, let me speak on this. Now, I guess there was this roast of there was a Kevin Hart roast. Let me read from this article here at StarTribune.com that was recently posted today, May 13th. Tony Hinchcliffe. Now, I've never heard of this comedian before now. Tony Hinchcliffe, a comedian with a reputation for pushing buttons, reportedly has upset members of George Floyd's family with a joke he made in Netflix's The Roast of Kevin Hart. By the way, I'm going to tell y'all, I've always questioned things with the whole thing with George Floyd. Okay? And I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy, but it is something, but just let's say, if you believe that all that happened with that, okay? But yeah, anyways, the Black community is so proud of you, Hinchcliffe said to Hart during Sunday's live airing. Right now, George Floyd is looking up at us, all laughing so hard that he can't breathe. Okay, so let me just play the audio. Okay, now let me just show you guys. But there was more to the joke. There was a lot more to the joke, apparently. Yeah, I don't know why everybody's coming at Kevin Hart. I guess they're coming at him. I'm noticing that some people are coming at him, I guess, because he laughed it off. Now, I didn't listen to all of this roast. Now, the sister that made this one video responding to it, where I'm going to share the audio from, she said that before this guy here, I guess he's like some right-wing, so-called conservative Republican Trump MAGA supporter or something, I believe she was explaining. They said that this is the comedian right here, Tony Hinchcliffe, at a 2024 rally for Donald Trump in New York. Okay, this is the guy here, I guess. Yeah, and being that I don't want to share the video, I will share the audio since she was able to get away with sharing the audio, shared by this sister right here, Jamie, that's me, her channel. So let me share some of what this comedian said in fuller context in this roast of Kevin Hart. Because yeah, it's just the George Floyd comment that got people, that apparently has people disappointed. That's all that they are seeing as racist, I guess. But I was like, oh, he said, this guy said all that. So listen to this. I'm just going to play it as is, not sped up, but I'm going to, cut off, so you can't see the video for copyright reasons. Fair use, fair use. So listen to what was said by this guy. Now, she claimed that before he got on stage, this Caucasian comedian, she said that he was being roasted. They were people, black and white, were roasting him. I guess he's somebody who's not that likable. Perhaps he's this like straight up staunch Republican. That's not very likable. Yeah. But I don't know whether or not he was reminded he was white or whatever. I don't know what to claim, but yeah. So listen to what he said, y'all. Press 1. I appreciate y'all pressing one more time once I get this plan to let me know that y'all can hear this loud enough, clear enough. And then I'm going to respond. Turn this up. Again, press 1 once I play this and you can hear it loud enough, clear enough.
It's true he lost his gig hosting the Academy Awards because of some homophobic tweets, but you'd be homophobic too if you were eye level with everyone's cock.
Yikes.
He got into a fist fight on a private plane, proof that no matter how much money black people have, they're still just gonna act like ninjas. Always fighting. Like Bill Cosby, Hart is a black comedian from Philadelphia, and like Bill Cosby, women don't know when Kevin is inside of them.
Yikes.
You've done good, though, Kevin. The black community is so proud of you. Right now, George Floyd is looking up at us all, laughing so hard that he can't breathe.
If you hear to me,
Okay, so you heard the jokes. Let's go over these jokes once again. Let's analyze these jokes. Because the first thing he said, the first supposed joke, that wasn't even a joke. That was just an opinion. Now, the last two, little points or whatever that was made, the last things he said, those could be said to be jokes, right? Tasteless, whether you like them or not. They can be said to be jokes. What he said initially on basically, like saying ninjas don't know how to act, that's not a joke. That's just, it wasn't even funny in how he said it. That was just giving an opinion. This proves that black people don't know how to act quote unquote, black people don't know how to act. That wasn't even a joke.
Cosby, Hart.
Hold on. So let's break down some of what he had said. Okay. So I'm assuming y'all were able to hear that.
Homophobic tweets, but you'd be homophobic.
Hey, Queen Bee, that's me.
It's true he lost his gig hosting the Academy Awards because of some homophobic tweets, but you'd be homophobic too if you were eye level with everyone's cock.
Okay, sorry for the, the profanity and, the vulgarity. But, okay, we can say that that's a joke. Whether you think it's tasteless, tacky, whack, or whatever, we can say that's a joke. But this right here, what he's about to say, it's not even a joke. It's not even a joke. That's just your opinion.
Yikes.
He got into a fist fight on a private plane. Proof that no matter how much money black people have, they're still just gonna act like ninjas.
Okay, someone getting a fist fight. This is proof that, how is that a joke? What's funny? Because he said ninja instead of, is that the funny part? That he said ninja instead of nigga? I mean, what's the funny part? That's not even a joke. That's just something he want to say. That's just something what he believes, and that's what something, And then it's interesting. He goes from that and then talking about like another example of proof that no matter how much money a black person have, okay, and understand I'm still going to speak in terms of black and white, okay, that's why I'm saying, that's why it's time to elevate. Yeah, so to, I guess, further his point, to further stress his point, that no matter how much money black people have, they still don't know how to act. They're still going to be violent. They're still going to, like, money cannot save black people. That's the point that he's making. Black people, niggas, Negroes, whatever. Okay, so I guess the funny part is in him saying ninjas instead of niggas. I guess that's supposed to be the funny part of that. Now, all he did is just give an opinion. Okay, yeah, it wasn't nothing funny. Not only was it racist, but it wasn't even a joke. It wasn't even, like, what's the punchline? Like, what's the, you know what I'm saying? That was just you giving that, you saying that no matter how much money. And see, then he uses that and goes into Bill Cosby being an example. And like I said, that's why, like, if you notice, there ain't a black person, whether living or dead, where they feel that they have to make this point. You see, there is no such thing as a Dr. Huxtable. There is no such thing as a charitable. Even with this Michael Jackson movie, still, there are still people, regardless of Michael Jackson going to court, being, found not guilty, no real evidence against them. And even despite what has been presented now, we can't exactly say the same with Bill Cosby, although I have presented information to support why I don't believe that Bill Cosby committed any criminal by man's law, the criminal acts. Did he commit acts that were immoral, like in being infidelis, cheating on his wife? Did he go against the law of the Most High Yah? Yes, but by what man's law is saying is a crime in him. I do not believe, as you guys know, that Bill Cosby gave anyone drugs with unknowingly. I mean, without them. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't believe that he, quote unquote, drugged women, nor do I believe that he assaulted. That is my belief. And also, I backed up what it is, with the information. Did like 5 to 10 part series on why, and speaking on, with these women. So where, in other words, where I stand with Bill Cosby. Okay. Where I stand with Bill Cosby, and you definitely know where I stand with Michael Jackson. And in the case of Michael Jackson, who was able to take it to court, found not guilty. Okay. He was able to take it to court, but that does not matter. They're always trying to make the point that, there is no, and see, for him to even mention Bill Cosby, they like using Bill Cosby and even Michael Jackson as these ultimate examples of no matter, there is no such thing as a good Negro. There is no such thing, there is no Dr. Huxtable. I don't care how much they give to charity. I don't care how much what they do for the children. I don't care how sweet they may sound, how nice. And you would have thought, like in the 80s, you would have thought that Michael Jackson, you almost forgot that Michael Jackson and Bill Cosby were quote unquote black in this so-called conservative 80s, where they made you believe that Bill Cosby and Michael Jackson and maybe Whitney Houston were the most loved black people that, that could do no wrong. And I'm not saying this to say that they were raccoons or anything like that, but they use them as an example. See, this is a proof. There is no, and you see this is happening with now, of course, you're not going to see me defending P. Diddy. That's a whole nother, or R. Kelly. But what I'm saying is, regardless, they're still used as these examples. Okay. And notice how now he didn't use P. Diddy as an example. He didn't use R. Kelly. He used Bill Cosby, who was once upon a time called America's dad. Now he's being referred to as America's, like I showed you guys, the newspaper, America's rapist.
He got into a fist fight on a private plane. Proof that no matter how much money black people have, they're still just gonna act like ninjas. Always fighting. Like Bill Cosby, Hart is a black comedian from Philadelphia, and like Bill Cosby, women don't know when Kevin is inside of them.
Yikes.
You've done good though, Kevin.
Yeah, and and the thing is, if they really cared about their women, just like with Michael Jackson, I told people who, if they really cared about the children, you would not even joke on such things. You would take things like a woman being drugged, and you would take that very seriously. You wouldn't make jokes, Bill Cosby. You wouldn't even make jokes about. Why would you even joke on that? See, this shows that they are really full of crap. Okay, they get off on this. Actually, they get off on the idea. Some of these people get off on the idea of their women being assaulted. As crazy as that sounds, it seems as if they get off on the idea of this Mandingo, out of control, can't control themselves stereotype. Because for one, you wouldn't even joke on that. If you were really serious about that, you wouldn't joke. Like, I didn't understand what people making these jokes, whether it be in movies or whatever else, of Michael Jackson touching kids. You don't make jokes on, because something like that is very serious. Like, I thought it was really disgusting. There was a like a Halloween costume or something, of a Catholic priest with a little child's body attached to their pelvis area. Like that was their way. And this is not about me supporting the Catholic Church, but I was like, why would even somebody have a costume like that? Like, as if, like a little child attached, like as if they're performing fellatio. It was a Catholic priest outfit, but with a little child's body, a little dummy of a child attached to it. And I thought that was just sick and weird. It's not funny, so you can't tell me that you care about children. Even like when I remember with one of the scary movies, and this was after the Wayans brothers like kind of lost control, it seemed, of the movie franchise, a scary movie, and they had the little Michael Jackson. I'm like, that's not even funny. Like, if y'all really did care about the children, even if you believe Michael Jackson did that, why would you make jokes on that? That tells me that you're full of crap. You just like to be able to say, see, I told you these ninjas ain't ish, but you don't really care. You're using your women and children, and you're using that, as they've been doing, just to, spread your hateful rhetoric, but you don't really care about your women or your children. You don't care about children being molested, attacked. You don't really care about those things. Right, of course, exactly. You see, Queen Bee, he didn't make the joke on, let's say, it could have been easier for him to make the joke on Diddy. He knew in making the joke on Bill Cosby. But see, this is also telling to these black mouthpieces up in here, whether they're the Anton Daniels, or we don't think that you're going to be seen as one of the good ones. I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody would have went back in time and told my mother and I that years later that this is how Bill Cosby and Michael Jackson would be perceived, Or even like in the case of how they, Whitney Houston, before they just deduced her to being a crackhead. I never, and I'm not saying that they were mouthpieces of raccoons. It's just that once upon a time, you thought that they were the safe. I noticed this. It seemed to be the quote unquote black people that you thought white folks loved the most. Those were the ones, O.J. Simpson. They end up like even Will Smith. Didn't it seem like early in the 2000s? I remember Will Smith was the one black guy that white females, they were open with, because usually they didn't admit to, like having, crushes on certain black male celebrities. They wouldn't be as open admitting. Will Smith was one of the first. Yeah, I would, you'd see him screaming over Michael Jackson and stuff. But I'm talking about like, on their teenage magazines, like on Teen Beat or Tiger Beat and stuff like. Will Smith was one of the early ones I would see, that they would openly like profess having a like teenage crush on like that. Because when I was younger, they even if they saw Willis or Todd Bridges is cute on Different Strokes, they just didn't feel as comfortable. They would say like they got a crush on Kirk Cameron. But yeah, you thought like Will Smith, he was parents just don't understand. He was represented positive rap. All it took was him, as if they really care about Chris Rock like that. But how dare he, in defense, even though I do wonder if that whole thing was scripted, how dare he be so upset over someone offending his black wife? How dare he? Even though I think that whole thing was scripted. But you see how you would thought, he became the new O.J. Simpson, Will Smith. So I'm telling you right now, I see how they will dump you in a second. This is the Anton Daniels, all of you who think that, okay, I'm in good, I'm one of the good ones, I'm safe, this could never happen to me. Because I think of that whole with the bling era. But see, I want to talk about, So, but speaking of Anton Daniels, considering that whole thing with Corey Holcomb, now you hear these jokes. So this is telling me that, I guess this okay. I'm all for politically incorrect comedy. I felt that comedy was getting a little too tame. People scared to say what they feel about the jab, the vaccination. Everybody's scared. I remember I was listening to one of the last Kevin Hart specials, and it was like, say with all that was going on. It was sometime after the whole pandemic era. It was with Kevin Hart. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so tame with all that's going on, and this is all you got to joke on. I was like, because I knew when Paul Mooney passed away, I was like, oh, it's over. That whole era. That because I think the funniest comedians came from the silent generation. Those people that was mainly born like in the 1930s and 40s. Those were the funniest group of comedians, in my opinion. The Richard Pryors, the Paul Mooney's, George Carlin. I think that the funniest people came from that generation. That's just my opinion. But, and they definitely represented the politically incorrect. Even though I can't stand now, Don Rickles might have been GI generation. He was racist as hell. I couldn't stand him. But at least it was a time when, hey, I'd rather give, white folks just say what the hell you feel. Only thing is with this dude, with the whole little comment he made, that wasn't even a joke. Like, that's the thing. Like, they had this Asian dude recently saying some racist-ish. I'm like, these weren't even jokes, though. At least Don Rickles made it in joke form. He was an insult comic. At least he still understood what a joke was. These people, they just, okay, like I just want to get on stage and offend you and say something offensive. And they're just hoping you laugh it off. That's all that they're doing. I'm going to just say something triggering, offensive. And being that I'm in a comedy club, people are going to just laugh it off. No. At least, in the case of those like the Don Rickles and Jackie Masons, at least, they still told a joke. You know what I'm saying? At least they still made it in joke form. But they, it was some Asian dude, one of them Asians who have absolutely no accent, totally Americanized, totally westernized. You know, he's some comedian, and it's like it wasn't even. I'm like, where's the jokes though? This isn't even a joke. That's the point. That's the point I'm saying though. With R. Kelly and Bill Cosby, that's kind of like what I'm saying though. Did you understand? Exactly. R. Kelly is not Bill Cosby, but if he wanted to use this example of black people, he used Bill Cosby purposely because I don't think white folks ever really saw. See, because that's a message also to white people, because I don't think they ever saw R. Kelly as safe or one of the good ones anyway. Whereas Bill Cosby, he feels is a better example. Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson. That's the point I'm making. Yeah, wait, what's going on? I didn't ask you again. Wait, what's going on? Y'all I get um oh, okay. You say you talk to the chat. I don't know what's okay. I'm you understand I'm peeking in. I hope everything's all good. Um But yeah, and it's but okay, since they want to bring back, because white people feel very in this Trump era, they feel very badass right now. They feel very emboldened. Pretty soon, they feel like they can say and what they want now. The internet has helped make them feel more so being behind the screen and stuff. They feel more badass, and pretty soon they feel that they can say things in your face and get on stage and if we dare say something, then they can point out how we're just as racist. You see, why are you guys upset with Drewski? I mean, why are you guys upset with blackface? Look at Drewski. Look at white chicks. So they're using these little lame excuses. Okay, well let them. Let them. The thing is, I don't understand. This is what I got more of a problem with my people being a part of their little comedy rose comedy. Comedy Central never really gave a crap about. I remember when Cat Williams, and he's suspect as well, because I remember when he was talking about with the roast of Flavor Flav and how he was being kind of like encouraged to say all of these "you so black" jokes at Flavor Flav. It's funny how we're supposed to see Cat Williams as exposing the bad side of, but notice he still participated. And he said he said Flavor Flav's kids were there and stuff, and they wanted him to do all, doing all this talking about the women, the sisters who were a part of that show. Basically, also was a opportunity to call them all type of whores and Jezebels and stuff. But yeah. And I remember wasn't he also saying that they would, with Comedy Central, they would not even allow for the quote unquote black comedians to have comedic freedom, like, or just stick with their own material that they wrote or whatever. And where they allowed the quote unquote white comedians to have more of this comedic freedom. I remember hearing something like that. That's why I kind of, if it wasn't for let me see, maybe Futurama or something like that, I've been stopped watching and supporting Comedy Central, but yeah, that's the thing, because I question, like somebody, whether it was Cat Williams, somebody they were exposing that about Comedy Central, it is the thing, we want to be a part of these roasts, and we want to, and I see that I saw some videos like showing, oh my gosh, Survivor is on. I got to get the heck out of here. But yeah, I was supposed to be back with the munchies. Okay. While we watch Survivor. But I know it is like, why am I watching even CBS Survivor? You don't CBS. But yeah, I wanted to point out, because it's interesting with me also mentioning, now that we're, since I mentioned Anton Daniels and the like with Corey Holcomb, I don't even want to, with my people being all shocked and outraged, and I don't mean to sound like I'm having what about black on black crime response, but I gotta kind of be that way because what I see that what's going on, you got right now, you like with Corey Holcomb and the monkey t-shirts, and y'all seeing that is so. What was so hilarious about that? He is so. I'd rather listen to Godfrey any day. Corey is so doo-doo joke simple. I'm not saying he's absolutely not funny, but it's so on a level that's like, oh, monkey, call black people monkey. That's so original. Like, what's so funny about you? It ain't even created. It was an AI. You know what I'm saying? I will even give, even though Tariq Nasheed then totally lost his edge because he's become so redundant and repetitive, what used to be kind of funny to me. Like it used to be fun, you put the little coon train thing together and stuff, but now they so dependent on the AI. Like, it's like, okay, you call a black person a monkey. Like, what's so funny about it? That's like white people still telling fried chicken and watermelon jokes. That's played. Like, what's so funny about that? Oh, see, and it's like this stuff is being done almost like it was scripted to test us, to see if they can go back to saying certain things, because they really want to feel comfortable once again saying the N-word. And what I really wanted to also mention is while you got this white comedian saying all this stuff, notice how I've never seen so much disunity with quote unquote, I'm still talking. Yeah, I'm going to say black comedians because obviously we are still in a black state of mind instead of in the mind of Yasharel. If you notice, there's so much disunity with the black comedians. Is Corey Holcomb still trying to talk about Godfrey? Still talking about? So I hear recently he's gotten Vlad TV as he's promoting. He's got the support of Vlad TV while he's disrespecting other. Man, this time went quick. While my husband's here now, so we're ready to watch. While he's disrespecting. And if you notice, all he ever talk about is other fellow black comedians. Like, that's why I couldn't even get with that with the Cat Williams, with him exposing. Because if you notice, Cat Williams only exposed his peers. They're not going to talk. Y'all can talk about P. Diddy, but you ain't going to talk about Clive Davis. You ain't going to talk about that. And this is what's making me upset. See, I remember in the 90s, even if you wouldn't even known that certain comedians didn't like each other. You wouldn't even known that. Like, we didn't know about whatever issue that Bernie Mac had with Steve. Oh, gosh, names are slipping. They coming in my head. Y'all know Steve, the Kings of Comedy. Y'all know who I'm trying to say. It's just brain fog, y'all. Menopause, brain fog. But you didn't know about the beef with Cedric and Steve Harvey and Bernie Mac. You didn't know about that until after. That was my first time even really hearing a beef about any sort of beef or disagreement with any of them comedians of that era. But if you notice, like we had Def Comedy Jam. Because I remember in the 80s, it was like, it seemed like it was only allowed for one black comic at a time. Like once things kind of faded, after the whole Burn incident, Richard Pryor started doing whack movies like The Toy and stuff, and Superman 3, Eddie Murphy started rising up, becoming the new black comedian. It was like only one allowed at a time. Then you had Sinbad and, but it seemed like it was only one at a time, but it was something really great that happened in the 90s. And it kind of after the movie Harlem Nights, it's just like how the movie Roger Rabbit in 1988 kind of revived for the old school flavor of cartoons, to come back. That was kind of what Harlem Nights did, bringing together all those OGs of comedy like Red Fox and Richard Pryor and all of them. And then you had the newer comedians like Robin Harris before he passed. And it kind of opened the door for, you know what I'm saying? And so the 90s, you got all these new comedians and with the respect and the assistance of old school comedians like Richard Pryor, Paul Mooney behind the scenes within Living Color. You got Robert Townsend, who helped introduce in the late 80s, helped introduce us to the Wayans. And now you got a platform. You got Def Comedy Jam, Comic View. And for all we know, those comedians, they probably didn't like each other, but we didn't know it. We didn't know it. Cause I remember when black comedians, they were anxious. They were dying to get on Johnny Carson, racist Johnny Carson show. But then by the 90s, it was like, who cares? We got Arsenio Hall. You know what I'm saying? It was like, who cares? It was great seeing Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy working together. And then with the new cats, with the old cats at Harlem Nights, they all together in Harlem Nights. You know, that was great. You know, and then we got Def Comedy Jeff. Who cares about Johnny Carson or Jay Leno? Well, you know, became Jay Leno's show. But I remember when, you know, now we got a platform. In fact, we were doing so black comedy was doing before you had Wild 'N Out, you had Uptown Comedy Club. Yeah, remember that Uptown Comedy Club with the Yo Mama jokes and stuff? So actually, black comedy was doing so well in the 90s, kind of similar to the 70s, but better. I mean, you know, as in, you know, with the exposure, that is. I'm not saying better comedians, but than in the 70s, but better exposure, more exposure. Not just Richard Pryor, not just Eddie Murphy, but you got to hope, you got to, you know, and it was still respect given to the old cats, like the Red Foxes, even though he ended up passing away in the early 90s. But the respect that they were coming, you know, or either they were behind the scenes, because I remember when they even gave Red Fox's own a new sitcom before he passed away, unfortunately. But it was a new time of black comedy, you know. And even with the old school cats behind the scenes, working with Paul Mooney on In Living Color and all that. So now, if a white comedian, they could blow up on the black platform. Like I remember that one guy, he was on Uptown Comedy Club before Saturday Night Live. And Jim Carrey was like this B-Z-list actor. He was like maybe in one or two movies. Like I remember Once Bitten in the 80s, like a little comedy horror film that, you know, didn't really go nowhere with Lauren Hutton. Nobody knew Jim Carrey really. And on some special, you know, like after school kind of special on AIDS, something like that, I remember. Nobody really knew Jim Carrey of Canada. But him being on a show with a predominantly black cast on Living Color, he ended up blowing up bigger than any of them cats on Saturday Night Live. Jim Carrey ended up becoming one of the highest paid comedic actors in the 90s after being on a black platform, a quote unquote black show in Living Color. He ended up making more money than Adam Sandler, David Spade, Chris Farley even. So it was like they were trying to be on, you know, with Russell Simmons came together, got the whole Def Comedy Jam. We didn't need the Tonight Show. And who knows? These comedians probably hated each other. They probably didn't like each other. But we never knew. They still knew how to work. Look at what's going on now. Corey Holcomb, I can't stand him. And he's always going at fellow peers, always trying to make you think we know it's some weird stuff going on in Hollywood. Okay, but can we do more? Okay, it's easy to just talk about you think it's who's sleeping with who or who's doing homosexual act. Why don't we talk about why do they feel pressure to do this? If this is really happening, who is behind this? How about that? Right, we had, man, and there's so many comedians, male and female. Remember that female that ended up, I forgot her name, hosting Comic View? She was that little cute one. She was, you know, she ended up being the host in the latter years of the Comic View. But I remember the first host being like D.L. Hughley. But it was so many of their names that we forgot. But there was some sort of, it's almost like we still was on code. We learned about Jamie Foxx, so many, you know, through In Living Color, so many. What the heck happened? It's just like with the, you know, we had our own thing with the Negro Leagues, you know, if you learn history. So they saw that, and you know what we do is going to be fresher, it's going to be flyer. So then what they do, they allow Jackie Robinson in the major leagues. Now we don't want to be a part of the Negro Leagues. We want to be with the major leagues. We want to be with the majority all the time. So I'm just saying, you know, it's just really ridiculous what's going on. You know, I know I'm sounding hypocritical because I found myself targeting other certain black YouTubers. You know, you say, well, you're kind of being hypocritical too. But if you notice, the only ones, have you not noticed? The only black YouTubers I go at are the ones that I see that are doing what they can to separate us, whether it's black men and black women. Those are the only, I've been in here over nearly 20 years now. You've only seen me. Tommy Sotomayor, Cynthia G, Tariq Nasheed. Why the gold is fair? If you've noticed, the only reason, because they have been a part of this causing unnecessary divisions in our people. And I just want us, you know what I'm saying? I just want us to see where this is whack. I'm not trying to reach white folks. I'm not trying to reach them. Yep, George Wallace. And we ain't talking about the George Wallace or the civil rights era. I mean, it was so many of the names that we forgot. Yeah, once upon a time, Chris Rock. Now, he was one of the few in the 80s that they did allow to get on the Tonight Show. But that was the thing. That's why he was salty. That's why he did that little bigger and blacker, because he saw that, black folks loved Martin Lawrence and could relate to his style of comedy. That's all that was about. But you see, Chris Rock, he got the little spot on Saturday Night Live, but they did nothing for him. His skits were limited. Saturday Night Live did nothing for him. That predominantly white platform, it did nothing really for him. But see, when we come together, and even with that bigger and blacker, even though he was talking about black versus niggas, it was still that black audience that was still supporting him in DC. Because hamburger. I don't even watch comedy stuff no more. But I got to get out of here because I've been waiting for Survivor, y'all. I know. There I watch the show. I just wanted to make this point because this is just ridiculous. Shame on you, Tariq Nasheed. Shame. I'm going to try to refrain from mentioning your name because you know that you are talking some stuff that you don't believe. And that was the thing, too. I remember you would have this Jamaican comedian. He was funny as hell. I remember they had this pro-black conscious. His father, I guess, he was representing the Nation of Islam, but he was funny as hell. Remember the guy that played the piano? He ended up being in movies like Hot Tub later. He's in movies now, but I can't remember his name offhand. But I remember back in you had Comic View, and you had that, you had Uptown Comedy Club. I remember that's why I remember first seeing Flex Alexander in comedy. Yeah, I was just watching it. I was a Soul Train dancer, one of them videos. It was this one guy, I didn't even know he was a Soul Train dancer before going into comedy. And not to mention all the movies, with Ice Cube eventually going into comedy, giving even more exposure. You find out even, in his own way, he was funny. But, what happened? We ain't giving each other a platform. All this beefing. I never thought, you see how these comedians, look at it with the Corey Hope, and even that's why I'm sorry, Cat Williams. I'm sorry. I don't trust them. Expose. All that we doing is exposing. If you're gonna expose, then go all the way with it. Expose the puppet masters. Yeah, Michael Blackson. Now it's he's still here. He is sitting with Vlad TV. I ain't listen to it. I just listen to other people, video on it. What he got to say now? I'm so sick of, And then it gets up. Well, I want to hear somebody put him in check, but then I know that this ain't the way. But yeah, so I got to get out of here, y'all. I just want to, like I say, every time I'm up in here, my shout out to my sister Latanya Cone. I feel like I'm sneaking around and doing something oh boy, this could be my last thrill. Because I'm still, do I put this channel on private? What do I do? But I just wanted to, that was Jamie. That's me that I shared the audio from. It wasn't funny, but let white folks, let them cook. Okay, let them think they're cooking. All right. Yeah, let them say what they say, but just, as long as we can say what we say. But while they're saying this stuff like that, and notice, I have not heard nothing about, you don't be hearing all this beefing in their little world. Okay, long we say what we can say. Okay, since y'all can say what y'all want to say now, I hope that we feel, but we only say what we supposedly want to say only against each other, though. Okay, since that we're politically correct incorrect again, since we're dropping. Okay, I'm cool with that. You all right? That's cool. They want to go back to telling jokes like Don Rickles and allow it, as long as we could be able to go Paul Mooney on they behinds. Okay. Yeah. So that means I don't want to hear no crying about, well, I don't really support, Drewski making, I don't feel it's on code to even make mockery of the church or Israelites and all that. But I'm just saying, I don't want to hear them crying about nothing no more. All right. So yeah, we should. Yeah, I expect the return of the Paul Moonies. So I'll be back with y'all later. Thanks for joining. Peace and love, family.